Good evening. My name is Aaron Mannings. I'm part of the Entrepreneurship Club here at Texas Wesleyan, and today we have with us
Ellis Wasmley the fifth, and our special guest.
Ellis Wasmley the fourth.
Okay, perfect. So, Mr. Walmsley, just starting off here, could you walk us through your career journey and how you got started in commercial real estate?
Oh, okay. Career journey, boy. So I don't want to give up my age, but we can certainly talk about my formative career, how I got exposed to the world of business. I can take you back as a high schooler from Skyline High School. There was a program that was called Junior Achievement Program. And with the Junior Achievement Program, it's very similar to the collegiate level of entrepreneurship, is where the counselors actually pick certain students to be part of a citywide program that create a corporation, a product, and they actually actively put that business together. And so at that time, I was about 14 and 15 years old. Being a freshman and a sophomore, I was in it for a few years. So from that experience, it opened my eyes to the world of business. At the same time, I was working at a local Burger King at that time in the Dallas area. And as an entrepreneur, you learn leadership skills, you learn how to lead your team. And so from that experience, at a little Burger King restaurant, I was able to, which I thought was a big deal at that time, but opened my eyes to operations. I was able to move up into management. And so with Junior Achievement, along with being in the management program at a local Burger King as a high schooler, was the area where I discovered what I wanted to pursue as an education. And as an education, I wanted to be into business, in the business arena. So when you've been exposed for those two, from working at a Burger King restaurant, as a manager, and as an entrepreneurship club, which created a company, you study business. Now you're going to the next level. So from going off to college as a business major, I also understand that in order for me to really get people to gravitate to me, then I need to be part of the leadership. So as in my college, I graduated from Texas College in Tyler, Texas. And one of the things is that I knew is that in order for me to, like anything, run a business, you got to basically build a relationship. So in that relationship process, I ran for student government. And as SGA president, I won, competed with it, but as a SGA, what you also learning is how to build processes, everybody who's on first, who's on second. So with being a part of SGA and studying business, I was able to really form these ideas as a career, and that which led me to internships. Like as a business major, towards your end of the year, your junior, your senior year, you start doing intern program. Again, taking from what you learned, now you're putting it into action. And so working at the local entrepreneurship programs at Texas College, as well as part of the internships. Now what that did, now it gets you really exposed to operations, staff, product, marketing, all of those things, because now from the textbook, you're now building this picture. And so when I graduated, I started running Echo Drug stores. At the time, y'all remember that, y'all see it as the Walgreens?
Yes.
This was the Echo Drugs back at the time. It's the same store. Wow. It was over hundreds and hundreds of Echo Drug stores, just as Walgreens and their CVS. And so as working in operations, running $8 million stores, again, I'm 22 at this time. And you're having a staff of 30 plus people, you're responsible for the management, you're responsible for finance, you're responsible for the whole thing. Now keep in mind, this is foundational for you launching your own. And so from being exposed to their system, the ideas of forming my own system start to evolve. I can touch and feel everything from the paperwork, from organized the entity, understanding the human resources aspect of it, understanding the merchandise management of it, understand profit and loss, having to actually read those financials. That in turn opened me up to the next level. So again, a part of that building block test to start a business, but I wanted to go a little step further. As an undergrad at the time, I loved accounting because I had accounting in high school, but I still loved the idea of understanding the financials. And there was a reason for that that brought me to my business. So I resigned from the drugs operation and pursued a career as a corporate controller. This was the game changer for me. I went from drugs to a corporate controller, one of the largest, biggest aviation corporation in Dallas at that time. As a controller, you work side by side with the vice president and the president of the corporation. You are their CFO. So you basically have this whole team of financial professionals, from payables to accounts receivables, for inventory, anything that deal with the finances, the vice president and president is coming to you to see in what financial position they're in. So from there, this is the thing, I knew where they invested their money. I started learning where they started having their board meetings and creating these ideas. So here's what I was doing. So when I'm handling their banking, I'm on their behalf, their relationships on their behalf. Guess what, gentlemen? They became who? My relationships. Because now I'm the face on their behalf, and they only paying me a meager six-figure salary. Now I'm grateful and thankful for being placed in that responsible role, but I was thinking ahead that I don't want to retire working for someone.
Understood.
So my job was to learn what they know and be on my best of making sure they're successful. So you can't be successful if it's just you. I got to help you be successful in order for me to be successful. Because remember, one day, people are going to be working for you. So if you want that same loyalty and respect, I gave that loyalty and respect, and guess what they did? They exposed me. So when I was able to stay there for years and years, 5 years, about 8 years, and then I launched. I didn't just quit working in the drugstore operation, now as a corporate controller. You think I'm gonna go somewhere else, work somewhere else? No. Because you've been exposed to the game. You know how they acquire the money. You know how they invest their money. Why not me? So here comes the risk factor. I'm working as a corporate controller. I ended up launching started my own real estate development company at that time. And so I know I needed a workplace office to staff it. I was able to take the income that they were paying me, live below my means. You know, today's people, they want to live what, 100%? They don't want to live the 50%. So I was able to live off the 50%. And that 50%, the other money I was able to save, because you understand, the way I put it on the paper is like this. You know, it's going to take time to reach a profit.
Absolutely.
So you take what your living expenses, and that's what you need to put aside, because you need time for your business to develop. So I knew I was going to go maybe 3 months, 6 months without income. So as a corporate controller, thankful and grateful that they paid me well, I call it, at that time as a youngster. I still live below my means. So I was able to stack up years of reserve. So when I left corporate America, then the average, I was, again, because that exposure, and plus I didn't want to retire somewhere. So it wasn't not about me, you know, because, you know, typical, I wasn't a person going like, wow, I'm making 6 figures. I can drive the best cars and live in a nice neighborhood. I stayed in a 1-bedroom efficiency apartment. I stayed in a regular car that I paid off and stayed with that car. And even though the income was there to elevate the lifestyle, but I knew because if I did that, then I would still be a slave to that company.
So true.
So in order for me to free me, it had to start with me first. And that means that going without was not really going without, because I knew it was in my bank account. I was good. The fact is I wasn't good because I don't have my own. I still got to be there. I got to report when they say be there at 9 o'clock,
Facts.
or they're going to fire me. You know, I didn't want no one to have that power over me. So that sacrifice was worthy at that time. So as I launched my commercial development project, how I got exposed to that world, again, as you networking, ideas comes. The book that I read was Rich Dad Real Estate was my game changer.
Okay.
That book, of course, you probably heard about Robert Kiyosaki.
Absolutely.
Rich Dad Real Estate is a good read because it's all about the numbers. And it spoke to me because as a person who loved financials, I understood how to read the financials, and it wasn't much for me to adapt to how do you take this product? What makes that particular real estate so valuable? What goes all in, what's all involved with that? And so that's what attracted me. And I said, hold on. I read that book. I remember it was around Thanksgiving holidays. And I was like, I gotta make a move. And this is the thing. You prepare yourself, you stack your money. Now what you want to do? I said, and then when you expose to people, you know, after with real estate, and I noticed what they were short with. Here it is. They were short of capital. They were short credit-wise. And they did not know the financial aspect of anything. Now, understand that these people who are already out there are dibbling dabbling, they weren't just going to turn it over to me to give me game. First thing I needed to do is study what this business is all about. And that's what, when anything you want to do, you want to study it first. Just like we are as a college student. This is the best time of your life right now because you can fail and start again over and over again. And you're making smart moves because you start collaborating for others. Yeah. And you're learning not their success stories, but you're learning their failures because their failures are not failures. Because they became, now that they made a mistake on, you no longer make a mistake. So it brings me to how I got in the game. So I studied, my money was up, credit was up, partnership. I was okay with riding the caboose with you. Why? Because I'm going to learn from you. I didn't take the position as though I'm better, I'm more smarter or savvy than you. What I admired about you is the fact that you've been in the game, whether you winning or not.
You got experience.
You've been there. And so it was a gentleman who actually been out on it for 5 years, had his highs and lows. To him, he saw me as, wow, money, credit, nobody educated. He was guarded, but guess what? I'm willing to learn from him. He picked me up every day, took me to the different real estate markets, the properties. So, foundation. Watch the move. He told me, first thing you need to understand is that everything of property itself has no value until you do what? Improve it.
The things around it.
Right. Yeah. So this property may be worth, as is, $5,000, just for conversation. The minute you start doing infrastructure on it, and the market for what's developing around it, your grocery stores, that property goes up in value.
That makes sense.
And that right there opened my eyes. But we went further. We learned everything is at the city level. Here we go with the city level, the appraisal department. So my eyes was open when I started spending time at the appraisal's office, you guys. Why is that so important? Because they the one who assess values on everything every year. And I actually got to sit like in the chair with them, and they pull things up on the screen. And they tell you how they determine those costs based upon sales in the area. So this property, you got 3 properties. This one particular property may sell for, say I bought it at 5 now. Watch this now. It sold for $100,000. Wow. And the next property. So what I learned is that let me pull up the stats on that particular property. So you mean to tell me, and this is what was the game changer for me. You mean to tell me this house is only 2,000 some square feet, 3-bedroom, blah, 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 in it. If I take this property, I pay less than $5,000, mirror that particular piece of property, that's what I'm going to make, potentially, because that's what they based off. They called it, do you hear that term called comps? That's what the recent sales, whether it's 6 months to a year ago. So again, that formed that idea of the art of real estate that evolved me into now as in the commercial development area. Gotcha. And that's commercial is simply, what is the difference between the two? Yeah. Commercial is anything income producing. Okay. From apartments, those are the multifamily, from storefronts, as you see when you go to the malls, any of those businesses you see there, they are income producing. So you're not just creating a single family resident, you move from that to creating cash flow revenues. And that's what led me to this industry.
Wow, that's great. So I want to ask you, so when you got into the commercial real estate side of things, and I know that there's wins and losses, how do you handle the losses that you take?
Oh, good question. Losses. Well, first thing is, before you go into business, you have to, you don't have no intentions of losing, but you have to position yourself financially. Like what I did is that I knew where my cost of living is, so I took that to the side, okay? So that way, if I roll the dice or invest in this entity and it doesn't bear fruit as I desired it to be, you got to know what you can do to sustain the losses. But let me take you on a situation that appeared to be a loss. Okay. My first big development when I went full throttle in commercial. Now I did the residential successfully on 20, 30 homes around Dallas-Fort Worth area. They were doing well. I did apartment complexes. I owned them, part owner of those. And now someone introduced me to this resort. You guys, it was the premier golf community. They were trying to get all the new developments, develop this result. It had hotels, it had the view, the lakes. It was just, beautiful. Yeah. Partner of mine, he introduced me to this area. Hey man, this is where we could put your money into this thing. So I go out and see it, and I'm going, wow. This is grand. And the lots at that time, they were going for $20,000, $25,000, and then we could build $500,000 homes, and you could do so many of them. And I was going like, man, that's a great opportunity thing to do. Here's what happens. I immediately threw $350,000 out there. I bought 30, 40 of those lots. Wow. Thinking, now here's the deal. Yeah. I'm thinking I have a partner. Didn't forecast that, remember, I'm positioned to sustain 6 months to a year of not getting any money, making money. But your team that I had could not. So what happens? Those properties going to take a while. Now, profit margins are there. And again, at that time, you did all the financials. We could walk away from this deal making millions of dollars. It's going to probably take a year or two. Yeah. But the loss part of it, what it appeared to be, those people that stood with me walked away. Here I am, no experience on with the building process, no experience about the permitting process with the city requirement, none of these things. Now you got all this money out. No team. Wow. No. Now, what did you do? But the thing that was a blessing, that was the best thing to happen to me. You know why? It's because I no longer have a babysitter. Mm-hmm. I now have to know this stuff. Yeah. That's why I say you have to be a studier of your craft. And you guys, I had to build a team all the way from the builders, from the mortgage company relationships, how to sell the product, from the realtors, crash and learn how the process of getting your plans approved to do the infrastructure. This task was a grueling task, but I'm thankful I'm a fast learner. Because one of the things you don't want, when your money is out there, you can't afford to lose. Because I literally was at, what am I going to do?
True.
But here's the thing, I had the winning proposal about this area. And all I needed to do is tell the narrative about this area and then pitch this opportunity to local builders.
Okay.
Now here I got 30 plus properties. I have my realtor, hold on. That's opportunity for them to eat.
Absolutely.
So all I have to do is crunch the numbers in such a way, make it profitable for them, for all the players, from the builders, from the realtors, the whole team, and I will win. And that win is going to come about if God can use me to bless them, I can in turn learn from them what I won't have to be here ever again. Less than 4 months of that particular venture, for the very first time in my entire life, I was able to clear $1 million off of that deal.
Wow.
And that was my exposure, okay? Because here is something that I was clueless of what all it takes to put together. And the people that introduced me to the area walked away. And I don't take it personally they walked away, but key thing is when you go into development, it sounds great, commercial development. You think, oh, wow, that's a lot. But nobody tell you the what you call the ugly truth. You're no longer going to be making a monthly paycheck. You may not get paid for 6 months. But that's how the big dogs do. You don't look for paycheck. You look at the end result. Because remember, at the end of you building a brand, a product for someone else to buy. So you're going to eat once you have a completed product on your hand. And it's because they walked away, it forced me to learn. If I would have stayed with them, I wouldn't know nothing to this day. And so those same people that walked away, true story for me is that I was at a local restaurant, at one of the country clubs in Dallas, and they were just passing through, and the guy said, hey, man, I ain't seen you in a while. It's been a year later. He said, man, but whatever happened to that particular development? And then at the table was the other builders.
Wow.
And they said, hold on, I already did 10 houses. I'm coming to Ellis doing other. Wait a minute. Is that deal, I introduced you to that deal. I said, I said, I'm grateful for that too. Because had you not walked away, I wouldn't know what I know.
Wow.
And I thank you. And but here's the thing. I didn't take the ugly approach by saying that I'm done with it, because remember, this was the same person who exposed me. Even though they walked away, I didn't take offense to it because he leveled me up by walking away.
Absolutely.
A lot of times in life, people that you start out in any venture with, they may not be here later on, but you're still grateful for the experience.
Absolutely.
Because to sustain in commercial, it's about relationship. And I'm just learning from my auntie, she used to say this to me. She used to say, burn no bridges that you have to walk for. Because you're going to need somebody. In commercial real estate, you guys, it's saturated with Top Gun investors. It's saturated with the best of the best commercial realtors out there. They could do business with anybody, but you want them to choose to do business with you. And how do you choose that? Is that it is based upon how much are you willing to share the pie. See, it takes a lot of my effort to lift this table, right?
Absolutely.
But if I have you on this table, on this side, you on that side, and somebody else over here, table lifted. Now the table stay lifted. If I say, okay, Ellis, you could take on a vacation, table still lifted. He comes back. You go on vacation. So the efforts of the people is saying, if you build your model, that means you're saying is that you're going to always position where everybody, they're positioning you for the future, and you're not doing it all by yourself. So you create these systems in place. That in turn is everybody is winning. Then you don't have to go out always on the hunt. Now people hunting for you. And that's where you really want to be, is that they know that you will feed them accordingly. But if you're that one-man show, you're going to be a starving individual. Because I know by nature I'm lazy because I don't want to be doing everything by myself.
Yeah.
But when you're choosing a team, they have to be a nucleus of what your end goal is, though. You don't have just anybody. Everybody have to bring some level of resume to the table.
Okay.
You may be good at let's just choose an example. You're the builder with a wealth of 20 years of experience who knows all the processes of the permitting process, the steps of getting that deal off the table. You on my team. You may be a mortgage banker person.
Yeah.
This mortgage banking person knows all the different type of closings. We're talking about if you're doing a mass development project, then I need this person that when I put a sign that I'm doing 50 homes or plus, I need them to talk about the latest different ways to get a mortgage done.
Understood.
Then the next person, the realtor. I need somebody on that team who knows how to do the pre-sales. Do you understand when you break ground, all those properties are sold?
Wow.
How you do that? Through those, creating this circle, and you keep building title company, all the way down to, you don't have appraisal on your team, but you understand the appraisal process.
Gotcha.
So all of these people are working on your behalf of the vision that you have put together, whether it's residential mass development or it's apartment complexes, 400 units, 300 units, or if it's a major retail establishment like a mall or whichever. All of this, your team is what makes your deals. And that's the game, and that's what got me started. So to this day, it's all about the team for me.
Yeah.
Before I approach any deal, I need to know what the team look like.
That makes sense.
That's it, and that's how we do.
So, something that you mentioned is, you don't necessarily work for a paycheck. The big dogs, they have to wait and expand. In a sense, you have like a great feel for delayed gratification.
Yes.
And in today's society, and I'm even a victim of it myself, instant gratification is just the fuel that kind of keeps everything going.
Mm-hmm.
What were some practices just throughout your time of even leading up to commercial real estate or even being in your jobs before commercial real estate that gave you a good sense of practicing delayed gratification to put yourself in this position?
Good question. It goes to my foundation growing under, raised by a single mom and raised by a grandmother. And, you think back as a single mom, those days where clothes had to be passed down from your brother to the next person, learning about dealing with lights, water, and gas getting cut off, watching your mom sit there and plan the bills and so forth, and understanding about, when you talk about delayed gratification, is learning to live below your means in the meantime, because money was scarce. But let me bring it home to you this way. There's a book called, and it's a good read, because I believe in learning from past folks, their experiences to help shape this discipline.
Absolutely.
It is called The Millionaire Next Door. Mm-hmm. If you ever read this book, you will no longer look at your finances the same. Because The Millionaire Next Door teaches you everyday common people like firemen, teachers, people with retail, regular everyday blue collar people, multimillionaires. You just don't see it. They live modestly, but they live off of the 80% of their income. But they invest to 20%. So like delayed gratification is knowing that you position yourself in such a way, even though you punch in the clock, you understand that every day you may not have the ability to wake up to punch a clock. So you in turn is planting seed for the future. And Millionaire Next Door, it addresses on the personal finances. It addresses when you even trying to launch a business for yourself, how that sacrificial period of time is not really truly a sacrifice. It's the fact that you're not living your life to impress others. Your life is about what you have in mind as a legacy for your children's children. And that's what you really stay disciplined about. The gratification for me is what I say to this day. I love the ability to have options on my hands. You know, when you go to a store, I still ask prices. You know how we get some, we don't want to, no, because I'm very conscious of the fact that what am I doing? Am I doing this for me, or am I doing this to impress others? There is a difference, because you'll go broke trying to impress others. But what if you were living not just under your means, but were you driving an average car, you're living an average home, but yet you can buy and sell everybody any given time. Take the story of Warren Buffett. And I don't know if y'all are familiar with his lifestyle.
Yeah.
Do you know you still live in the same house 60 years ago, $57,000? And he lived in a regular neighborhood.
I did not know that.
Look up his history. They got it actually on Netflix. Look at the documentary of him. They even put it in a movie. I read his book, but in the movie, true story. He lives in a $57,000 house that he paid for way back in the 50s. And watch this, his office building is less than 5 minutes from his house.
Wow.
Also, go further, his staff is less than 25 people that's been working with him for over 50 years.
Consistency. He
He goes to the McDonald's, and he goes in his little console and pull out his coins. He count his steel pennies for his little hamburger muffin coffee thing, and drives himself at 90 to his place of business. You walk inside his business, he's sitting behind the desk with all the stock, latest almanacs, Moody's books and things to make a decision with no computer. He has a news feed on his TV in his room, and all he does on paper is pick stock like he's been doing over 50 plus years and give it to a little secretary for processing, but it's the third wealthiest person in the world. And he looks and carry on like everybody else. So you ask the question is that what is our society? It's not saying that you cannot enjoy yourself, but you ask yourself, are you doing this out of greed? Because it has to be purpose driven. Because, a lot of us, and I raised my kids by telling them, I said, when they would come in the world, I said this motto, and I used to say, what's the family motto?
Blessed to bless.
He's been saying that since he was
What's that?
one.
Say it one more time.
Blessed to bless.
Blessed to bless.
And what that is all about, the reason why I wanted them to have it instilled in them before they even able to use any words, is that nothing we do is for our own benefit.
That's amazing.
And that's something that I stand by. I don't believe in just like, I take moments like this because I love to empower, I love to share the journey part of it, because it's still a journey. Remember, it doesn't stop here. The journey is that, what good is it you talk about how well, how many seeds are you planting? Are you really paying it forward? Or are you doing it for you? You the glory. So blessed means that God bless me so I can be the blessing to someone else through financials, through words, because we have to be encouraging. We have to be willing to, ride in the car with them, or them riding with you. You actually have to take them on the scene, because that way it'll resonate more. And the fact that you planted that seed, that you took up time with them, will stay with them for the rest of their life. And that's the joy. That's the real wealth. That's the real great. Because at the end of the day, when we could upstage, anybody could upstage you by and give you this illusion of what it looked like.
Yeah,
True.
Anybody who understands the Dallas market, Dallas is a license to pretend. You could be anybody, but nobody. That's just Dallas. This is how we roll, unfortunately. But If you tell them to take time out and explain it, they can't. It's all about a hustle. It's about manipulation. And I'm not saying that's all of them, but understand you are your best researcher.
Yeah.
So when you go to these networking events, go there for the knowledge, not to be impressed. Because everybody going to be looking their best, because nobody can dress like African Americans.
Yeah.
That's just how we roll. But let's go beyond that.
Yeah.
What knowledge are you gaining from that experience? To ask them to take me on the scene, transaction. They can't do that.
Yeah.
So you hear, but understand too, is that there are those who are very successful in what they're doing. Your goal is not to be in awe of what they have attained. Your goal is to learn the process. Understand, they're not going to give you the storms. You see in the finished process, but you don't know the story behind the story, how they got there. So the biggest question I get by commercial real estate, I just ask this, is that does it take money? Do y'all think it takes money?
I don't think so. But then you can get the money from somebody else, right? In a sense.
Yep.
If you know knowledge.
You get a capital source in other ways.
Yep. Does it take money? Does it take credit?
No.
You think it takes credit or money?
No.
I would say more networking than anything, I'm guessing.
Right.
If you know somebody.
Does it take experience?
No.
Oof.
Like starting off?
I feel like,
I don't know about experience. I mean, I need to know what I don't think so.
Right.
You just got to go in there, I feel like, in a sense. But, I mean, coming up with a plan. But,
Right.
I mean.
To answer the question, the truth of it, you need a little bit of both.
Okay.
Why I say you need a little bit of both, because let me say it this way, from a pastor once said to me, I was doing a big deal in Houston, Texas, and I had a gentleman who was an extension of myself that I had put in a position to, and when you say an extension of myself, he was looking at the Houston market on my behalf. And we collaborated and we made money like that. So he would engage with various people in the Houston market area. As an extension of myself, here's the problem. So he had an opportunity that I come down there, and as we are going to the various sites, a pastor at the church that he attended, and I remember we were at the hotel that we was at the meeting at. You know how they have the escalators go down? And I remember my partner who I had down in Houston area, he had walked away to go to the men's room, and the pastor, as he going down, because the reason why it profound to me why he going down, because he said something to me that stayed with me even to this day. He said, a poor man's voice is never heard in the valley as he going down. Remember, a poor man's voice is never heard in the valley. And I was like, why is he saying that to me afar? And it clicked on me. Person who's an extension of myself has to what? Mirror me. You understand? What's that mirroring? If his stuff is not in order, just like we're talking about financing and credit, you need a little bit of both. But put yourself as an investor or you're a banker. Who would you rather do business with? Now, a person come in the room, credit is not where it needs to be, money not positioned like it's supposed to be, no banking relationships like it's supposed to be. You as a banker, would you do business with them?
No, negative.
He coming with big plans, multi-million-dollar deal. They looking at your shoes, they looking up at you, they seeing, I don't know if you're going around begging, peddling, or whatever. Understand, perception is everything, right?
Yeah.
That was the issue. I had to change the faces. No shot against my guy, but the fact is, when you're building a brand, remember, this is your team. When people go in, the CEO or whoever here, you're looking at, does the team look like him or her? So whoever's representing you has to mirror you.
That's big.
Because you can't win off a deal because you only got one shot. And I always look at opportunities one shot. I don't look at it as, well, I'm going to try it once, twice, third. No, I look at it as, this is my only chance.
Absolutely.
So when I take on a deal or opportunity that comes to our office, I'm looking at that individual just like I heard back in the day. A poor man's voice is never heard in the valley. So you got to make sure that you, even if you invest into a suit, invest into your tie, invest into understand your craft, position your monies in such a way. You don't have to be perfect. That's why I said little both. You don't have to have the perfect credit. But why do you think credit is credit all about getting money? You know what credit really truly is? It's part of the whole process. Yeah, it's going to require you to have good, decent credit. Why would I give you money? You don't pay your bills.
Yeah, that's facts.
But it's a character thing. It's all about character. Yeah. Are you fiscally responsible? So if I'm about to entrust my money into your operation or entrust that into your business, then I need to make sure, are you all right? Not perfect, are you all right? Because that's a trust factor. Yeah. So also, have you well thought with your project that you're trying to do? Or it's going to look upon you're trying to hustle me, you understand? Yeah. So it's very important that we understand the fundamentals so that way we only have this one opportunity to make this pitch, to get this buy-in. So when I spend time when someone comes to us about a big development, I choose. I could give one live one I did recently. This is a good one. It was a sister, and I love our sisters who's in the commercial real estate business. She approached with a big 50-acre development in the Lake Ridge area in Dallas area. She was referred to them to come to me, come to our company to do assessment opportunity. So she presented what she had. And what was funny about it, we've seen this project before.
Oh, dang.
So I let her make it by pitching it to me. And I just asked a few things. I said, have you done the engineering on this development project? She said, what's that? Okay. Have you had a developer walk the grounds with you, at least tell you about the area? I'm planning on. Do you have any local developer? No, I'm going to do it myself. You see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
This is my way. And again, I don't crush no one because I've been that guy too. I call it, my phrase, I don't want to say, I don't mean it literally, but I've been that young and dumb guy.
Absolutely.
Dumb means not literal, but meaning that didn't do my research. Yeah. I'm jumping into deep waters without having to do my research and understand all the ins and outs of what it's going to take to pull this venture off. So as I had, by at least, after I checked out 5 things, I said, young lady, let me share something with you. I'm very familiar with your development that you're aspiring to do. You are. I would encourage you. First thing is, I'd like for you to get with a local developer in the area and walk the grounds. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you everything about your project. Number one, you have something in the center of this area that the city has deemed that you had to address, and that cost is over $4 million. I didn't know that. There is also a setback. There are requirements, only one entry into this development. Have you seen the actual plat map? She said, what's a plat map?
Uh-oh.
Okay. I would encourage you to get with that development. And again, she said, well, you know, I've had this project 2 or 3 times, and people took it away from me, and we now put money on there. I say, I do understand that, but there's a reason why I keep changing hands. It's back on your hands. Yeah. So instead of crushing her, I told her, when you walk this grounds with this project, with a developer, to give you the checklist, all the things, because you're going to need soil samples, you're going to need all these things in place, so we get the full picture of what you're trying to do. Come back and talk to me later. And that's how I do it. Because see, these things, if I know more about your project than you, this conversation just ended.
Yeah, that's just a lot.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So us being college students,
Mm.
and whoever may be watching is a college student, how is the education important to you? If so, why or why not is education?
Good question.
That's a good
One, the education tells me that you started something and that you finish it. That shows you invested into your future. Because at this school or wherever you choose to go, these are your dollars you putting at risk. Just like invest, you are building the product. Remember, you the product now. So look at education as nothing's free. Whether you're getting it from a scholarship, student loans, wherever, somebody's paying the tab, right?
Facts.
There's no free lunches. Now, that investment is to you to come out with what? A finished product. That's why it's so important, because in this product development, that's you. Say it again. You the product, you in the development. You're gaining all the knowledge on forming this idea that down the road God may bless you with. Now, you may be one of those that want to work, go to school, go to education, get a good job, and retire.
Yeah.
Or you may be this person to go to school, get education, so that I can be in position to buy and sell corporations.
Rich dad, poor dad.
Yes.
Rich dad, poor dad.
And that's really what you should aspire, but understand that's the 1% of America.
Yeah.
So you're either going to be a part of the 1% or the 99%. So education is important because that's where ideas are formed, because you're a studier or something. And that whatever God leads you to do, you have a foundation of how to tell that narrative, how to form that ideas. Because you learn, especially with entrepreneurship and studying the business curriculum, it's going to open your eyes, because every business, whether it's a hospital, mall, they require business people because they understand operations. When you look at a hospital, you think you're seeing a bunch of doctors.
No.
That's a business. There is a head administrator who's a non-doctor who's the CEO of that hospital.
Wow.
Absolutely.
The doctors are who? They work for who?
Employer.
They're the employees.
Yeah.
Oh, you need a throat specialist? I got that. You need an ear specialist? I got that one. Do you foot specialist or whatever? Oh, you need surgery. Hold on. Let me look at my staff. Because they are paid what? A salary. Because they're part of the hospital administration. So when you see these big hospitals, understand that is a complete business, you guys.
Wow.
Someone operationally is running the whole show.
Yeah.
That's where you guys come into play.
That's great.
That's great.
So another question for you. When you're the age you are right now, why do you continue to still get up and strive to still go after it and still, go for the money, or continue to do what you do, getting up even though, made it successfully in life? Why do you continue to still strive?
Believe it or not, it's the rush.
Yeah.
I love, just like the deals we're doing now, I actually, you coaching. I love teaching, number one. I love the art of taking something from nothing.
Okay.
I live for that. I don't know, it's just my rush, because I was just at a conference meeting when I came here. I said, you'll never be here again. I said, because at the foundation level, we have nothing here, right? It looked like this may be impossible to do, but I love doing impossible things. And, you'd be like, why would you love to do impossible? I mean, there's the thing called no pain, no gain. Right now, we look like we broke, we don't have it, but that's the good stuff. That's what we learn.
Yeah.
Take me back to a situation that happened. Do y'all remember, I think it's now going on 4 years ago, where we had that big snow day,
Yeah.
where all the power, the lights, everything wasn't working. We all were stuck in.
Yeah.
I love that experience. I know you're like, huh? Let me tell you what's so proud is that we got so comfortable for everything remaining the same. The power, the electricity, the roads. But what if all the stores and everything shut down and you got to rely on you? take us back to where we could go. We could have to go out and go hunt for what we know. Now we have to actually make it. And as bad as it may look, that's my charge, is that I love building things organic from the ground floor. Absolutely. And going through that process of taking your ideas, your input, so that way we can do something special. But I know a lot of times they don't see what you see, because here's where we go. Well, it's easy for you because you're good. Let me tell you something. You're never good. Remember, there are other goals you're still striving for. Yeah. It may not be financial. It may be other goals. Because being financial don't necessarily mean that you're good.
True. Yeah.
What if that money is taken to keep you alive? We don't know what's going on inside of you. We don't know your story. But the fact is, what gives me a charge each and every day is that moment of the efforts of the people in that collaboration process. That's what gives me the charge. And I love doing that. I get a high, because I'm working on one now, I'm so involved with them, I actually want to do it for them. Yeah. But my partner says, Ellis, let's teach from afar.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I certainly want to get in there with them, but that's my charge. Yeah, to my question.
That's great.
So something that you said that kind of resonated with me, you said, if I want to make sure I get it correctly, a poor man's voice is never heard in an empty valley. Mm-hmm. And that's, wrap it up. It can cut.
Ask that question again. Start over from right there with that question.
Okay.
And after this question, we need to wrap it up.
For sure.
Okay.
I wanted to keep going back.
Oh, no.
No, that's cool.
No, it's cool.
Just start over with that question. So just take a pause and then just like he just finished answering.
So pause it for like 10 seconds.
Like just your head count to 5.
Head count 5. I got
That's
you.
great.
All right.
I'm gonna count like 5 seconds in my head. So, something that you mentioned that's been resonating with me, you said that a poor man's voice is never heard in an empty valley. Mm-hmm. And that we should be around counterparts in this area that carry the same, I want to say, I guess goals, admirations, and things that we like to achieve in life. Mm-hmm. And as an African American community, I feel like it's very hard to find people who are trying to achieve those things that are not necessarily within a field of athletics or within the field of music. And entrepreneurship sometimes can be seen in other ways, necessarily due to their resources that they have. If there's a message that you could give to anyone that's watching, what would that be to necessarily, I guess, break free from that mindset?
Good question.
Good question.
What comes to mind is that we all have a story where it starts with. And I don't know your faith or whatever you subscribe to, but we have some greater that we look up to. My thing is, first thing is look into is we all have a purpose in our life. And when you know the story of your family lineage and you understand those struggles, it's true. Very few people want to go out and launch a business. That's why you have the 1%ers. But if you are exposed to those who are doing great things in the community, then that'd be your launching point. I'm reminded of a gentleman, I think I've shared this with you before. It was a gentleman in my neighborhood, and I grew up in a very rural, poverty-restricted area in the beginning. I don't know if y'all know Dallas. You from Dallas area?
Pensacola, Florida.
Okay, so, well, Dallas is called, you ever heard of South Dallas?
I have.
Okay, just stay right there. Everybody know what South Dallas, you got to be locked. It's gotten worse over the years, but case in point, there was a gentleman in the neighborhood. He had this old black Corvette, the old school, and he used to get out of his car. I used to watch him come down my street, and he was like 3-4 houses from us, and he would get out of his black Corvette and his beige London fall trench coat with his suit on.
Clean.
I was so, I watched him every day get out with his briefcase.
Yeah.
And I say that as a reference, that man, still right now, I have that visual of him. And he was a blow, because he knew I was waiting on it when he come, he blow. And I was like, I'm gonna wear clothes like that one day.
Wow.
And I carried a briefcase. One of my cousins reminded me, he said, I carried a briefcase to school from 7th grade all the way through college.
Wow.
That's
From that
hard.
day forward. So when you make reference to, it's somebody that you either witnessing along the way is where those ideals are formed, that inspire you. Now, I didn't know how I'm going to get there, but later on, as I started developing as a youngster, he came to me, never had a long conversation with this man all my years in school, but he knew I was graduating from high school. He brought me a gift. He made a personal trip to come to my mom's house
Man.
and hand me a gift. And he had like a bag. He go, it was like a bag, like a duffel bag. And he says, young man, I want you to take this bag with you. It was a very nice plush bag. And I said, thank you, sir. And I had said something that, well, I'm going to try to do my best when I go out to school. He said, come here. He grabbed me like this, says, don't you ever say you trying to do your best. Be the best. Wow. I was, wow. And I said,
Okay.
this is the man who you witness afar every day. Just grabbed your schnick and told you, be the best, not try to be the best. There is a difference.
It's powerful.
Absolutely.
And that has been my story, and I am charged off of that.
Yeah.
Because it humbles me to recognize that he didn't have to take up time. He didn't have to come down the house. I never had. That was the only conversation I had with him. And the next time he seen me, I was a graduate of my own. The next time I came to his doorstep.
Wow.
That's amazing.
And that's my story with him.
That's amazing.
And his name was Van. I remind him. He joined the wrong fraternity. He was Omega. I pledged Alpha. And so, but it stayed with me. It didn't matter about the divine. Greeks, it just reminded me of that. It's little things like that
Absolutely.
that humbles you and it stays with you.
It's great.
Because you can't make it by yourself, you guys.
Yeah.
Moments like this is about us building a network. And network is not just somebody money. Just be able, when you have in a moment, because we all going to have those moments when a whole deck is stacked against us. But it's nice to be able to pick up the phone or someone just take our time to have a conversation, because those are priceless meetings. Those are priceless. You can't put a dollar value to that. And that's why I say you guys are on it.
That's
Make the best of this time, because 4 years will be over and it gets real in your senior year.
I believe it.
Because now you got to go, because you can't go back home just live with mama, right?
Now you gotta go hunt.
You see, you got to be thinking now you're a grown man. Mama going to give you, my grandmother, and I know we got to cut off, but this is, I had brought my grandma, I said, oh, I said, God, you can give me a good brand new car and everything. I'm putting out requests and everything.
Yeah.
My grandmother wrote me a note, because she didn't believe in no long distance, because time, we didn't have cell phones at that time.
Yeah.
So my grandma wrote me a note. She said, oh, I'm so proud of you, young man, the first person in the family graduating. But she said, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you 1 year. You can come home, eat free, save your money, and you can buy you a car of your choosing. And I'm giving you a year because you'll be in your own place in a year.
Yeah.
But as of today, the bank is closed.
Oh, wow.
Can't
That's
argue
the-
with that one.
That was the end of that. And that helped humble me, said, hey, she invested on what? Me to have what I have.
Yeah.
Now use it. That's what y'all doing.
That's powerful.
Use this. Gain that knowledge from the elders. Soak it up like a sponge, because you won't have this moment again. Next time I see you, I want to be coming to your place of business, that you taking me out to a location of all the great things you're doing in the community.
That's great.
That's
Absolutely.
what it's about, bro.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
My work.
Well, I believe that's our time.
Okay.
We appreciate everyone for tuning in On behalf of Texas Wesleyan Entrepreneurship Club, once again, my name is Aaron Mannings, and have the pleasure to share the stage with.
Ellis Wasmley the fifth, and then
Ellis Wasmley the fourth.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. We'll be signing out.